Hi, ma'am. I can't hear you. You are muted, ma'am.
Fine. I was just trying. I think speaker is having struggle in getting in, so I was just resending the link to her. She might be here.
What's the schedule today, ma'am?
Priyanka. She's come. I think.
Yeah, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Nice to see you after a long time.
Same here, ma'am. It's a pleasure meeting you always and talking to you.
September we met.
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, today you are the first speaker, and then each day I think almost 450 people are attending. But at a time, like around 250, 275, like that can be seen because they are all working professional. I think whenever they are free, they come, but there are dedicated participants. So each day it's roughly 450 are attending. And we will start now. It's already 2 o'clock. And then.
So I have 2 hours or 1 hour?
Maybe it's left to you, and then probably you can have an hour of lecture and then you can interact because a lot of questions came last 4 days. Every day we had plenty of questions. So questions coming, or you can speak for half an hour, then take some questions, again you continue. Like that also. You can.
Okay.
And then there'll be one more Dr. Goodwin, and then if there is time, he will also address.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, got it.
Okay, so we will, I think she'll start now. Esther will start and then we will begin. I'll introduce you and then you can.
Let us check whether the PPT is visible
Yes,
or
please.
not, and then we can start.
Please. You should have called me, in fact, if you had struggled in getting it.
John sir called me yesterday, so I sent him a message that the meeting has not started yet. He didn't respond. In fact, I got your call.
Oh, he is actually in his hometown today.
Okay.
He will also come and he'll come in.
Okay. So the slide is visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is. It is full screen. Please move, ma'am. Yeah. Yes.
And is it moving?
Yes, yes.
Slides are changing?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay.
We can start.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can just close it.
Yes, yes. Yes.
Okay, first a few seconds, all of us will be visible to the participants and then she'll put it in speaker mode.
Fine.
After that, only the speaker will be seen. Okay.
Just 2 seconds, please.
Yeah. Any issues? No space for recording? No, no worry. I have put YouTube live, so we get a record there. It's recorded already in YouTube. We get the full video there. Okay, if there is no space, don't worry. Okay.
Ready.
You
Can I
start.
reclaim the host?
Yes. You joined from your institution, ma'am?
Today is holiday, so from at home, ma'am.
Okay. We'll start it, ma'am. All the best.
Thank you.
Yes, it is live. Yeah, the number is going up, participants number. Good afternoon to one and all present here on this webinar floor. I'm Rajula, the Regional Manager for Globethics South Asia Center, Bangalore. It's an international forum committed to ethics in higher education. Thank you for joining us for the 5th day of the FTP on Ethics Model of Excellence Framework. This online FTP is a joint effort of the PG and Research Department of Commerce, Rani Anna Government College for Women, Tirunelveli, and the Globethics South Asia Center, Bangalore. We thank each and every one of you for joining us today. Regarding the flow of the event today, we have Dr. Priyanka Kakar, the Associate Professor at the School of Behavioral Forensics of National Forensic Sciences University, Gandhinagar. So she is going to do the first talk, and the second talk will be done by Dr. Goodwin. We had shared a questionnaire link on the invitation earlier, and many of you have completed. It's a pre-survey before the FDP. We thank you, the one who have submitted, and request the others also. The invitation has two links. One is the Zoom link, the other one is the survey link. So kindly submit the survey, which will be useful for us. Each day we are sending the feedback, and many of you have filled, and the feedback will be given only to the attendees, not to the registrants. Regarding the registration, we had an overwhelming response of registration for this FDP. More than 1,314 participants registered, and each day more than 450 participants from India and also from countries like Angola, Philippines, Ghana, Austria, Italy, Algeria, Bangladesh, Republic of Congo, Nigeria, Tunisia, Brazil, United States, Germany, Egypt, Singapore, Ethiopia, Australia, Ireland, Canada, Malawi, and India. We have a lot of participation, and we are very excited, and we are thankful to each and every one of you. On day one, we covered two different areas: understanding the ethical purpose of educational excellence versus institutional excellence, and understanding issues, challenges, and ethical dilemmas in higher education. On day two, we listened about understanding and aligning the benchmarks of accreditors, regulators, IQAC, etc. On day three, we learned about the role of custodianship of ethical practices and understanding the role of measuring tools of custodians of ethical practices in higher education, networking and collaboration for custodians of ethical practices in higher education. And yesterday we listened about dealing with the objections, empowering CEPHE, and ethical research and development modeling. Today, we are going to listen on ethical research and development modeling. And the second topic is building teams, goal setting, and delegating for ethical practices in higher education, etc. We are encouraged by your enormous response and also by your active participation and interaction. As usual, this event is recorded. Some of you have already requested. And once the FDP is over, we will share the recordings with you. We request you to introduce yourself with your name, the institution name, the place, and also the country for us to recognize your participation. Please come out with the creative questions and post the questions in the Q&A box, and the speaker will answer all the questions. And at this particular time, it's my pleasure to welcome and introduce Dr. Priyanka Kakar. Dr. Priyanka Kakar is currently the Associate Professor at the School of Behavioral Forensics of National Forensic Sciences University, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Since 2013, she is there. She's teaching and carrying out research in neuropsychology and forensic psychology. She has worked on two major projects of ICSSR funded research projects on developing a neurosignature system based profile of victims of domestic violence, and BPR&T project on factors affecting recidivism. Before joining NFSU, she was lecturer for 4 years in the Department of Psychology, the MS University of Baroda, Gujarat. She is a trained hypnotherapist also trained in cognitive electrophysiology and cognitive neuropsychology, and is engaged in computerized EEG ERP analysis, especially in the use of brain electrical oscillations signature profiling for the purposes of forensic neuro and clinical studies. She has been also engaged in computerized cognitive retraining of children and others who need cognitive and behavioral rehabilitation, especially children with juvenile problems. Micro expressions linked to deception and early detection, intervention, and rehabilitation of juveniles and dementia are also part of her ongoing studies and research interest. She's a member of the core committee of juvenile justice rules of Gujarat government, which is currently engaged in a developing preliminary assessment module. She has 83 research and other presentations in national and international conferences and 101 research publications in the above areas. She is also a member of the editorial board of the International Journal of Indian Psychology and the International Journal for Transformation of Consciousness. She is a member of the lifetime member of Asia Pacific Association for Cognitive and Behavioral Neuroscience, Indian School Psychology Association, Grand Academic Portal, also a member of Executive Committee and Editorial Board of the Cognitive Neuroscience Society of India. She's an associate chief editor of newly launched journal GAP, Indian Journal of Forensics and Behavioral Sciences, and advisor and counselor, Council of India. She has received many awards and recognition. She has received Mental Health Professional Honor by Manas Charitable Trust. She has received Best Young Faculty Award at International Forensic Science and Criminal Investigation Summit and Awards 2020. On 29th May 2020, she received Bharat Vikas Award 2019 in Forensic and Cyber Science by Institute of Self-Reliance at National Seminar on Vision 3A, Education, Employment and Economy in Bhubaneswar on the 14th December 2019. She has also received Best Paper Award on Traumatic Experiences and its effects on neural networking in women using brain electrical oscillations signature profiling. She has also received a Best Paper Award on Experimental Knowledge of Positive and Negative Experience on Remembrance and Neural Person using Neurosignature System. She has received EET CRS Academic Achievement Award 2017 and Honorable Mention Certificate on 10th September 2017 at Fun Hotel, Mumbai. And we have the most brilliant person with a lot of experience, expertise, and knowledge. And it's an honor that Dr. Priyanka Kakar is with us among her many other busy work. And let's give her a virtual round of applause and welcome Dr. Priyanka Kakar. Hearty welcome, ma'am. Please take over the floor.
Thank you, Rajula, ma'am. I'll start straight away with the presentation. Is my slide visible?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am, it is.
And is it full screen?
No, ma'am.
Not yet.
Full screen is not visible?
No,
No.
ma'am, it's not full screen. Yes, it
Now,
is. Now it is full screen.
So, research work. We all are engaged in research work in some or the other way. I request all the participants that it will be mostly like an interactive presentation. So my chat box is open, and if I ask you any question, please put your answer in the chat box so that I can connect with you and I know that you are with me and you are listening to the presentation. So I am hoping that, assuming that almost all the participants are either a teacher or related to academics. And I think some students have also joined to understand the research ethics part. So is it correct?
Basically, research scholars and faculty members.
Yes. And those who are doing research work as a faculty member, there is a lot of pressure on those faculties to publish research papers, research articles, maybe 2 or 3 in a year. Is it correct? We are living in a very pressurized work environment where we have to publish paper in a Scoopers, WS journal, or any journal which is listed in UGC care list too, right? Yeah. So some are faculty as well as scholars also. So do we know how to do research work, and are we practicing daily routine activities in such a manner that we can do a good research work and can practice research ethics? Okay, one has said yes. Everyone feels the same thing, that we all are practicing good practices to understand good research process and following research ethics? Okay, one has said no. Again, no. Rarely. All right. So let us understand whether we are putting our efforts and whether we have a basic understanding about research work and the steps of research work. So let us do a screening test. Only few questions are there and you just have to answer in terms of numbers, number 1 to number 5. So if you say that by looking at the item 1, if you think that you don't do that, there's a least possibility. So you score 1. 1 to 5 scoring scale is there. So 5 is the maximum score you are giving to your activity and 1 is the lowest score. So let's begin with the screening test. These are the questions. Just quickly read the questions and mark it in your computer or somewhere on a piece of paper, and let's understand whether how much we have awareness about research and research ethics, and how much hard work we are putting into our research. So just go through these questions and answer in terms of 1 to 5. 1 is the lowest score and 5 is the maximum score. I'm also reading out the questions, the items. I premeditate the types of information that I need: books, articles, journals, and others. Do you think that you get information, you read these books, articles, journals, and other material to understand more about the type of research work you want to do or the topic of research work you want to do? Quickly say 1 to 5. Second is, the information found in journals are more often checked, edited, and criticized compared to information found in magazines, Wikipedia, and other social media sites. What is your understanding? That the information found in journals are more valid, criticized, and more informative as compared to magazines? The information given in Wikipedia and other social media sites, 1 to 5 score. Third is, information obtained through various means, that is electronic media, images, audio, video recordings, are authentic and useful as research data. So how many of you think that information obtained through these means are actually authentic and useful for research data? Don't put your score in the chat box. Somewhere you write it down. We have to total the total of all the questions. Then the next question is, I'm aware that the primary source is the first source, original source that records work related to the literature. So are you aware that what is considered as primary source, or what is the original source called, and the meaning of original source? Question 5 is, I'm aware that the secondary source is the source that discusses the work of other people, other individuals. So people who are working on secondary source, they know that it is work of other people and not a primary source. Sixth is, I use other sources beside the library in my institution, such as the interlibrary loan service. Do you use, apart from your library services, to understand more about the information that you can collect for your research idea? Next is, seventh is, I identify and look for synonyms, themes, or keywords that can be used to find information based on my topic. So when you search for review of literature for your research area, how you are looking for those topics, for those articles. So do you look for synonyms or themes or use keywords? Eighth is, in order to find information, I read general texts like dictionaries or encyclopedia articles to gain more understanding on the terminologies used in my topic. Oh, someone has mentioned 5.5, 6.4, above the score that I have asked for. Okay, very dedicated ones. Ninth is, I need to broaden my research, my search using keywords, given that the existing source of information indicates that my topic of research is too narrow. I am aware that I can use truncation or shortcuts in my search, or I can also route words to start my research. I'm aware that I can find a book based on the title given. Is it? I'm aware that I can find a book based on the title given. Okay, everyone is scoring 5-5. Question 12. I have to conduct the search according to the field in order to identify the materials, titles according to a particular field. Next, I will look at the strategy to find information again in order to get exactly what I want if it is not successful the first time. So how many times you repeat to search for the article or for the information if in the first attempt you don't get the information? Especially students. Those who are students, those who are scholars, try to understand this question and answer honestly. Question number 13. Next, question number 14. I usually evaluate the writer's expertise to see if he or she is qualified in the written field. Question 14. You go through any article, how many times you try to evaluate the writer's expertise? So person who has written the article, does he holds an expertise on a skill in that particular field, and then he is putting forward his experiences and his ideas. Next is, I evaluate the accurateness of the content by reading other sources mentioned by the writer. How many of you do evaluate the accuracy of the content given in an article? I understand the contextual effect, for instance, how various cultures, histories, and geography can influence the perspective of the information. So how many of you are trying to understand from various directions that if a research work is showing this conclusion, but then it can have a different conclusion based upon the culture of different country, different state, even different areas based upon the geography, history, and culture of the population. So how many of you try to find out this information also? Ram Pratap Singh is giving 3, 5, 5, 4, 5, 3. Okay, so above average. Next question is question number 17. I get the confirmation of my understanding on a certain topic by getting an opinion or an expert's view through individual interviews, email, telephone, and other means. So how many of you, before starting your research work, after developing your questionnaire or after developing your interview schedule, how many of you interact with experts for their expert opinion through interviews, through emails, through telephone contacts, and get their expert feedback, and then you try to modify your questions? 3. When searching for information, I arrange each item systematically. Do you arrange the information gathered through your search in a systematic manner? Okay, 5, 4, 5. Yes, 5, 4. Okay. So most of you have given above 3, and you can total out your score if it is above 40 and above. That means you are following mostly the basic ethics to understand more about your research work. So that means now you are ready for the next part of the presentation. This I want to explain to all the scholars who have entered in the field of research work. It is very well said by Albert Einstein that if we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called research work, would it? So if we already know what we are doing, then will that be called as a research work? What do you say? If you already know the results, will that be called as a research work? Yes or no? No. But unfortunately, we are looking for a confusion which we are assuming that this is going to happen for sure. And that's where we start the unethical way of doing research work. Yes, but research is something that is existing. There is one more reason to understand this concept is that, yes, research is something which is already existing, but you are trying to answer the existing gap of already being researched. So there are many things that is happening around you, which you can see, which is actually existing. But there's something lacking in that existence also, which you try to find out through your research work. So that is research. Yes, it is research. So you are searching and then researching and then researching it. So something which is already known to you, you are trying to find out something new and adding to the already existing information. So if you understand that, you can go ahead with a good ethics of research work. Otherwise, if you don't understand that and you insist that your hypothesis is almost correct and whatever you have assumed is correct, then it is going to be a unethical research initiative. So in order to get a best research conclusion, the first step is plan your research design. Now, this is where we plan our research work in such a manner that everything is being done, and afterwards, the type of data that we are getting, we go and change our research title, we change our methodology, we change our data analysis style also. So that is the most unethical way of completing your research work. And that's what students are mostly following because they want to complete their data work as early as possible and they want to publish their research. So this is the most unethical way of writing your research work. If you want to correct that, this is the step that you need to follow. First, plan your research design. Whatever the research design you have planned, you have to follow that research design from the first phase to the last phase till you publish your research article. How? Let's understand that in detail. First, a statement of objectives of the study or the research output. When you choose a topic, what is the objective of your research work? Have you ever thought about it? Or it is just like, I like this topic and let's do a research work on this topic because no, as per your understanding, nobody has done a research work on that topic. That is most of us are doing in today's world. Something that is interesting, let's do a research work on LGBTQ plus population. Let's do a research work on acid attack victims. So this is how we are choosing our research topic. And then we start our research design and then we get failure because we are unable to get that sample. And when we are unable to get that sample, then our reverse calculation starts, which again come back to the title of the research. So in order to stop this, let us understand what is the actual process of research design. Otherwise, if you are doing this, if you are following this practice of reverse calculation, that means your entire research work is unethical. And we will come to what are the consequences of conducting unethical researches. So first of all, find out the objective. Next, a statement of data inputs required on the basis of which the research problem is to be prepared. So if your objectives are clear, based upon that objective, clarify a research topic, a title. Now that title should be not more than 13 to 15 words, including of, and, or, is, was, etc. So your research title should be short, simple, without any abbreviation, and it should present what your research work is all about, without lots of flowery words and with lots of words in the entire title. And it has to be a generalized title without using the terminologies which are variables, independent and dependent variables. So you have to look for a title, and this title you have to prepare before starting your research work, before even planning your research methodology. If that is not clear, if that is not what we say stable throughout your research work, that means your research work is biased. So a problem statement with which you have started your research work should be carried out throughout your research work, and that should be the ultimate title. Yes, for PhD scholars, sometimes you don't get a data, or instead of a questionnaire, instead of a psychological assessment, you are using something else. In that case, somewhat title change is acceptable, but otherwise you have completely changed the research topic, research title. That is again an unacceptable way. Confusion in objective section, why it is done? Firstly, clear it, ma'am. Okay. So without objective, what is the point of doing research work? Suppose you want to study acid attack victims. So what is the objective? Why you want to study acid attack victims? What is the objective? No objective, no variables. No variables, no hypothesis. No hypothesis, then what type of statistical data analysis you are going to do? So everything begins with the objective. The reason why you want to do this research work, just because you want to do a research work is not a reason. It's not a valid reason. Ram Pratap Singh, am I clear? Why we need objectives first? Okay. Then the third is the methods of analysis should be used to treat and analyze the data input. So you should also be very clear in your mind that what type of data analysis you are going to use. Most of us are scared about the statistics part. In olden days, it was done manually. Now we have lot of softwares like SPSS and other softwares. Even people are using MATLAB for data analysis. But which analysis? ANOVA, ENCOVA, mean, median, mode, inferential statistics. So we get confused with these terminologies also. We want to do a research work, but we don't know which statistical data analysis can be used. So let us understand that also in this session. So we'll come to the data analysis part also, but these are the steps of research design. I'll go through all the steps in a very quick manner because I have a lot to share with all of you. So what is the study about? Why you want to do the study? Where will the study will be carried out? Now, this is very tricky. Most of our students think that, oh, I belong to this state. That is my hometown. And summer vacation is the right time to go there and collect data. So let us take a population which belongs to a particular state, because I will go there and I'll collect the data. So it will be easier for me and my research work will be done in an appropriate manner and on time. Unethical way of deciding your study. Just because you stay in a particular state and so your population is targeted in that manner, it's a biased study. Again, what is the objective? So again, let's take this example, continue with this example, acid attack victim. So acid attack victims are available in your hometown. Is it the thing? No. So when you go back to your hometown with this objective that I want to study the coping mechanism of acid attack victims, and I'll do a paper pencil test. I'll go and collect data from them. I'll have a interview schedule with them. Whatever the information they will give, I will do the data analysis. So most of the acid attack victims are not staying in your state. So you will not get the data. So your data will be incomplete, and then you will feel panic that, oh, I am not getting enough sample, then now how to complete my research work? So this is because your objectives were not clear and your research design was not properly designed. So you have to think before deciding your population or before deciding the place where you want to study your, carry on your study. What type of data is required? Now, what type of data is required for your research work? Is it male-oriented data, female-oriented data, a cluster of data, a geographically specified data? What is the type of data that we are going to use? Online data, secondary data, primary data. Primary data, when you are going to interact with the people, you are getting the first-hand information from the individual, it is primary data. If you are going for secondary data, that means that the researches which is already presented in front of you, like on NCRB portal, you can get crime committed by different individual in different state of different types. So that is the data that you are going to use, and on the basis of that you are going to infer something. That is the secondary data. So think that what type of data you are going to use to make it part of your research work with a valid justification. Why you are not collecting and why you are dependent upon the secondary data. Now, from where you are going to collect this primary data or secondary data? Primary data, face-to-face interaction, or you're going to share Google Forms. Now, there are limitations of Google Form, which we have not understood because during Corona phase, the digital world boomed up with all such Google Forms, Google data collection, online data collection, but that is the wrong way of getting data because the manipulation chances are most in online data rather than offline when you ask a question and the subject answers your question. Next is, what periods will the study include? So what will be the time period to be included for the research work? We get panicked in the end of the research work because initially we thought that, okay, we can give 2 months for writing the introduction part, that is chapter 1. And let us understand that introduction part is combined with the review of literature, or these are two separate chapters. So in this confusion, we think that, oh, we have lot of time. We'll do chapter 1, chapter 2 later. Let's work on the methodology. Okay, now you have started working on the methodology. You thought that, okay, this is my objective. These are the hypotheses. And from here, I will go and collect the data. Now, the permission taking, preparation of questionnaire, preparation of interview schedule, preparation of any psychological assessment that is required, permission to use a psychological assessment, permission to visit a particular organization or NGO for sample collection. All these processes take time. So have you ever prepared these steps in your mind that all these phases will take approximately this much time to get completed? Most of us, no. We just start our research work without planning, without dividing our time span into different phases. Especially for PhD scholars, for college students, especially who are doing dissertation or field work, they don't plan. And then in the end, they will come and ask the faculty, ma'am, please give me 1 month extra. Ma'am, please give me extra time to write my research work. Everything gets delayed because we don't know how to manage our time and how to divide the entire research work into different phases. All right. Now, someone is very good in time management. So let's see the next step, which is very important. What will be the sample design? Now, here we get confused. What is the sample design? Do we need to design our samples also? First of all, it's very difficult to prepare the objective, to find out the objective. Now, on the basis of that, we have to design sample. So what is the sample design? Is it a random, stratified, cluster? Now, what are these words? Parametric, probability, non-probability samples. So we need to understand the how to design sample or how to collect sample. What techniques of data collection will be used? Which type of technique you are going to use? It is going to be an interview schedule. Is it going to be a recorded data which you are going to analyze later on? Or it is a questionnaire based where the person will tick mark certain things? Is it a screening tool that you are going to use to first screen out your sample and then use it for your treatment? Or Is it going to be a psychological assessment based? So what is the data collection tool that technique you are going to use? Have you decided? No. We think that, we will ask 5 questions, 10 questions, and whatever they will respond, we will come back and we'll do the qualitative research analysis. Now, suppose the person is not ready to give you answer in yes, in a subjective manner, in a detailed manner. He is only answering you in yes or no. Or yes, sometimes I do it. Yeah, most of the time I don't feel that. So how to score that? So you have to think before using your sampling data collection technique that if this is the type of response given by your subject, then how you will score the data. Once you have collected the data, then you cannot go back to your sample and ask that person again that why you have said only yes and not a elaborated version. So in your mind, you should be ready with your questions and counter questions, cross questions, and if somewhere you feel that the answer is not given, so you should come back with the justification also. All right, once the data is collected, how will the data be analyzed? So the various statistical tests, we'll discuss that, what are the statistical tests, and in what style will the report be prepared. This is the most boring part for most of us. We do, finding sample is interesting. Collecting data is interesting. For some people who enjoy statistics, for them, data analysis is very interesting. But how to put that in minimal words so that it gets published? And which style of report need to be prepared? Because everyone have their own way of writing report. So is it a APA style or is it a journal specific guideline based style? We don't know. And there we lose our interest to write that research work in a report format or in an article format and send it for publication. And then what happens? Because there is a pressure, no, you have to submit your dissertation. No, you have to get your 2 papers published every year as a faculty. It is a status of our university or organization that every faculty publishes at least 2 papers per year. So in that case, you write anything and then you publish your precious work without thinking in a predatory journal, and there you lose your precious research conclusion to be discussed by experts of your field. And that data and that research work gets into some get lost in the universe and nobody is reading that. Yes, but you get a feather that you have got 2 publications. All right. So one person asked me why objectives are important. So these are the advantages if you carry out your research design before starting your research work. It helps the researcher to prepare himself or herself to carry out research work in a systematic way, ensures project time schedule. It consumes less time. So it consumes you less energy also. You will not feel stressed because everything is falling in a systematic manner. Also, you will be able to do better documentation of various activities while the project is ongoing. It also provides satisfaction and confidence. So once you have done one research work, you will feel confident and satisfied that yes, my research work has got this unique conclusion, and that unique conclusion will be read by hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people in my field. So that satisfaction leads to working more positively in your academic field rather than feeling lack of attachment towards your research work. Later on, you will just count your research paper publication and not have any emotion attached to your work. And same way, your students will learn the same thing that, okay, just do a research work, somehow just do a research work, get it published by paying 3,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees, and then forget about the work. So that is also an unethical way of looking at research work. Also helps in proper planning of the resources and their procurement, especially people who are into research projects. They also don't know how to plan the research design, how to do the procurement of systems. Suppose you are going to do a research work using a machine. or a system. So in a government system or in a private sector also, if you have got funding, research funding, project funding, in that case, you have to follow government rules of procurement. So that procurement process itself takes 3 to 4 months time, sometimes 6 months also, sometimes 8 months also. It depends from what we say, from organization to organization. So in that case, if your research design is properly made, then all these blockages and obstacles you can overcome without any stress. So again, features of a good research design, you can call your research work as a good research design only if you have clear research question, you have an appropriate methodology. What do we mean by appropriate methodology? We can follow any process. That is not a methodology. If I want to interact with domestic violence victim, I can go anywhere. I can talk to random female and I can ask questions about she being a victim of domestic violence or not. But what is that interaction leading to? Suppose if she gives me different type of response, all the females are giving me different types of response. If they are not aware what is domestic violence, what are the characteristics of domestic violence, so how to make them explain? So you cannot follow different methodology on different sample, different subjects. It has to be a proper standard methodology, then only you will get proper standard answer to your research question. Validity, the research design should be valid, meaning it should measure but what it is intended to measure. It should also have reliability, so the result can be repeated multiple times and it should give you same conclusion. And the generalizability of your research conclusion. So if you have done the research work on a particular population sample, it should be generalized on other people also. For example, pharmacy. You have developed a drug and that drug is being used on suppose 50 individuals selected by you. Now on 50 individuals, it was found to be effective. Will that be effective on crores of population also? Yes or no? So can we generalize that because it was helpful on 50 individuals, it will be helpful on the remaining population also? So you should have that much confidence from your result. If that is not there, then you have to do more trials and more research work by taking more sample. All right, the next step is the hypothesis part. Once you have made objectives, then based upon your objective, you are preparing hypothesis. And that hypothesis you have to test. So we call it hypothesis testing. So you have made a hypothesis. Based upon that, you have done your research work. You got certain observation. You have a theory that this drug will have a positive effect on this much population. So for that, you have made a hypothesis. After hypothesis, you got an observation that yes, it is effective. And on the basis of that, you have made conclusion. But before you conclude, you have to check whether your hypothesis is accepted or rejected. Now here we get confused when to put null hypothesis and when to put alternate hypothesis. I assume that you all know that null hypothesis is donated with H0 and alternate hypothesis is donated as H1. All right, so when to put null hypothesis? When we are giving a statement and when we are assuming that there will be no significant difference or there will be no difference between the mean score. There are two samples came from the same population. There also we put null hypothesis thinking that there will be no difference between the mean score of two samples which is coming from the same population. Like for example, male and female coming from Kerala state. So because you are taking male and female from the same population and you are trying to find out the difference in their attitude towards the academic aptitude. So in that case, chances are there that there will be no significant difference. But if you are taking two different population and drawing samples from two different populations, there are chances that there will be a significant difference. And then in that case, we put alternate hypothesis. When we know that the population is normally distributed, so we know that we have collected sample from a normally distributed population. So in that case, we use null hypothesis. And when there is no such clarity that the sample drawn is from the normal distributed population, then we use alternate hypothesis. For example, victims of acid attack. So do you think that they come from a normally distributed population? That 100 population people from there, only 50 population, 50 sample got became the victim of acid attack, and then they were selected as part of a sample. Is this the process? No. Can you assume that a person whom you are trying to treat for epilepsy is the representation of entire population, and you are treating that person? So if he is feeling better, so it is a normally distributed population. There also we don't know. So when we don't know that the sample from drawn from a population is a normally distributed population, in that case, we put alternate hypothesis. Is it clear when to put alternate and when to put null hypothesis? All right, so moving ahead. We have to think about error in hypothesis testing also. We are human beings. We assume something. We have put the objective. We have made the hypothesis. So chances are there that there can be a biased approach by the experimenter, or during the collection of data, there can be an error. So in order to just make you an understanding about what are the types of error that can happen is this example. So suppose you get a result that the lady is pregnant. So that is a true positive. Can you make out that the situation itself suggests that she is pregnant? Can you see the picture? Is the picture visible? Yes, no? Okay. So that is a true positive. When the result is that the person is not pregnant, that is true negative. You can see the picture, that person cannot be pregnant and doesn't look like a pregnant person. So it is a true negative response. Now, the another two responses are the responses which we have to look for when we are doing our hypothesis testing. You are pregnant. The person is giving positive response to the person who ideally, biologically, he cannot become pregnant. So that is a false positive, where your result is positive, but then it's a false positive, meaning it cannot happen. So that is the type 1 error. And type 2 error is when the result is false negative. It is present, but your confusion says that it is not present. So in that case, we call it as a type 2 error. So we have to make sure that when we are preparing our hypothesis and when we are testing our hypothesis, we should not get false positive response, conclusion, and false negative conclusion. In research design, the key concepts are variables. So what are your independent variable? Can you define your independent variable? Are you able to understand the dependent variable? What are the control variables you are going to control? And is there any extraneous variables which need to be understood and controlled during the entire research work? Sampling, how you are going to do the sampling? What is the process of sampling you are going to use? How is your research design? Is it an experimental or is it a non-experimental design? You have to have clarity about this also. What is your approach? Is it a quantitative or is it a qualitative approach? Quantitative approach is when you are getting quantity data, quantity-based data, something which is in scores, which is scoreable, which is we can calculate. Qualitative approach is something which is emphasized. It is an in-depth exploration, and we are getting a lot of subjective data which cannot be scored. But qualitative data can also be converted into quantitative data if you start giving scores to cluster of answers. So anyways, it was a traditional way of converting qualitative data into a quantitative type. Nowadays, we have various softwares which are used for qualitative data analysis. And the last point is control procedures. So research designs where we are going with unbiased resources, unbiased way of doing the research work, where we are also trying to find out the internal validity and reference inferences from our research work. Okay, so now what type of design? There are three major types: single case design, group design, and factorial design. So you have to think that which type of experimental design you are going to use. So is it a single case design? For example, a psychiatrist is doing a research work, psychologists are doing, or a pharmacist is doing research work. So single case design where the individual behavior is being observed either for a short duration of time or over a period of time. So it can be longitudinal study also, but a single case, only one case study. Group design where you are trying to find out the difference between comparison between two groups, three groups, two groups, more than two groups, then it will become factorial design. Sample size is limited to 1 in single case, moderate to large in group design, and moderate to large again in factorial design. And something that is different is data analysis. It is a visual inspection, and we use usually trend analysis in single case design. So try to understand which type of statistical analysis is being used when you have different types of research designs. So if you are working on single case, then it will be more like a visual inspection where you are observing and writing your observation. And it is going to be trend analysis. What is a trend of behavior shown by an individual? If it is a group design, then statistical analysis of group means will be used. And if it is a factorial design, then factorial ANOVA regression analysis are mostly used in factorial design. And the data is also very large in factorial design. Next is sample. Now, there is a difference between population and sample. Population is the entire population which can be used on the basis of the objective, and we draw sample on the basis of objective. So if the entire population is human being, from that we prepare a sample frame based upon our inclusion and exclusion criteria. So if I want to study victims of domestic violence, so my sample frame is victim of domestic violence, fulfill all the characteristics of domestic violence, has given consent, is falling between the age group of this to this, is a working professional, non-working professional, male, female, transgender, people from LGBTQ+. So what is your sample frame? So that is the sample frame, and from that you are drawing your sample, which is called the exact sample on which you can start your data collection. So sample is the group on which you are going to do your study. Second step is plan stages of sampling process. So once you have defined the population, you are specifying the sampling frame like inclusion, exclusion criteria. In that, you will specify the sampling unit that, okay, male and female both are undergoing domestic violence, but my therapy is mostly female oriented. So I will take only female sample who are fulfilling my inclusion and exclusion criteria. Done. Now, in that sampling unit, how I am selecting the sample, the sampling method that I am going to use, that we have to decide. What are the sampling methods? I'll come to that also. Then next step is determination of sample size. How many people you want to select from a sample size. So you want to take only 10 samples because the therapy can be given at a time on only 10 people and you have less time duration left with you. So you are targeting only 10 people. Specify the sampling plan. So how you are going to plan your sample? What is your methodology in sampling plan also? And then finally, you have selected the sample. So how to select the sample? If your population is through probability sampling, your sampling is through probability sampling, then the simple random sampling method can be used, which is or of two types, lottery method and random number table. So in a bowl, you can put chits and chit drawing can be done. So whosoever is being selected, that can become part of your sample. Or you can assign numbers to your sample, and then whosoever is being the even numbers or odd numbers or random numbers, you can select and select them as part of your sample. Another type of sampling is stratified sample. So you have a population of 20 individuals. You divide that 20 individuals into different strata, into different groups. So for example, 20 individuals working in Infosys, working in Reliance, and working in a government organization. So out of 20, how many are working in Infosys, Reliance, and a government organization? So that three stratas are divided, and from each strata you are taking number of individuals so that it is the representation of entire population. So here you can see that the sample size is 10. 20 individuals, the sample is 10. You have selected through stratified sample, dividing them into different stratas. I think there is a question. Is there any question?
There is one question, ma'am.
Uh,
But some comments were there in the chat box also. So the question is, how can I select a sample design? Which type is good for study without any biases? It's in the Q&A box.
Actually, I missed chats. So there are so many chats.
Yeah,
I
actually
missed
the
that
participants, they kept dropping message
posting,
that it
yes.
has been a very informative session. So I think they are getting information what they were looking for.
Okay. Ma'am, can you please repeat the question? I will straight away answer that instead of
Yes, ma'am.
looking
How
for
can
that.
I select a sample design? Which type is good for study without any biases?
Okay. The sample design is based upon your objective. So what is your objective? If your objective is to understand a very generalized, a very focused information about a group of individual, then that means you are not going for a normal probability population-based sampling. In that case, you are going with non-parametric, non-probability based. So if you are going with non-probability based, these are the sampling techniques out of which you can choose. Which one is better? It depends upon your objective. So there's nothing like this sampling method is better and this sampling method is not good. It depends upon your objective and what type of research work you want to do. So that clarity is very important. If you are not clear about your objective, your sampling technique, your sampling method is going to be a bias approach. I'll give you one example. Though I have already given an example that I want to study victims of acid attack, so I will go to my hometown and I'll do data collection there. So that is a biased way of sampling. I want to work on people of LGBTQ plus community because I don't know any NGO or I don't want to approach any NGO. So what I will do, he is my friend. Let me ask him that does he know someone else who can be part of my research work. So if that is the approach without looking for the options for collection of data, it's a biased approach. But yes, there are ways in which snowball technique is very important. So let's understand the methods and then I think your question will automatically get resolved that which one is better depending upon the reason. Can you explain sample frame by giving an example? Oh, I have to go back. Sampling frame is the part where you are trying to find out the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So what is your sampling frame? What is the framework in which you want to put your sample? Is it the age? Is it the gender? Is it the organization in which they are working? Is it professional, non-professional? So what is the reason of putting inclusion and exclusion criteria based upon your objectives? So that comes under sampling frame. Ram Pratap Singh, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
The stratified sample, this I have explained. Another one is this is also stratified. Then probability sample, cluster sampling. You divide that population into different clusters, and then you select a population. So suppose you have male and female, but you want to take only those male and female who are studying in a particular organization, who is studying a particular subject only. So this is the cluster. And from that, you have to divided them into two parts, two clusters, that there were two areas of specialization. One is arts, another one is humanities. So you have divided them into two groups. Stratified sampling, it is done in two ways. First, you put the strata and then divide them into different groups, and then you randomly select the people, and then your sample is ready. So from each strata, from each group, you are selecting your sample in equal number for your data collection. Multi-stage sampling. So you first define your population. From there, you divide that population into different clusters of population. From each population, you are selecting clusters in random manner, and then from there, you are making a unit within the selected clusters. So if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clusters, so from those 8 clusters, randomly you are dividing individuals into 4 broader clusters. So this is multi-stage sampling, mostly done in a treatment type of research work, where you are providing treatment, where you are using, trying to find out the effectiveness of drugs, etc. Convenience sampling, which most of us are practicing. Whosoever we are getting, whosoever is ready to be part of a research work, we are collecting them as part of our sample. But that is inappropriate way of collecting sample. Even in convenience sampling, you have to first have sample framework, inclusion, exclusion criteria, and based upon inclusion, exclusion criteria, then you approach individuals and collect sample with their consent. Then it is considered as a systematic and ethical way of convenience sampling. But this comes under non-probability sampling. Another method of non-probability sampling is purposive sampling. You have a purpose, and as per your purpose, you are selecting your sample. So what is your purpose? To see effect of a particular drug on epilepsy. So you are choosing patients who are suffering with epilepsy. So that is your purpose. So there you cannot go for random sampling. Whosoever is part of the population, you are selecting them through lottery method or through random number method. That is not possible because you have a purpose. But again, because that is a purposive sampling, it comes under non-probability sampling, which means that your population is not normally distributed. One more way of doing non-probability sampling method is snowball sampling. I know two individuals who are who are the victims of domestic violence, and they are visiting NGOs. So I'll interact with those two individuals, and through them I will get a link of 3 more individuals, and then I will contact them. So snowball sampling is not like I ask the person whom I know to go and collect the data from 3 different people. That is incorrect way of collecting data. I know 2 people, I'll interact with these 2 people, I'll get contact details and link of other 3 individuals. So total 6 individuals, I'll go and interact with all the 6 individuals. From these 6 individuals, I'll get connection of 12 individuals. So I'll go and interact with 12 individuals. So that is the snowball sampling. And the last one is quota sampling, where you divide your sample in quota. So here, male above 50 is a kind of quota which you have selected from the population. So I'm coming again to this conclusion that none of the sampling method is good or bad. It depends upon what type of population you are looking for and whether the population is normally distributed or not. If it is normally distributed, then the sampling methods is what I have mentioned, like stratified sampling, random sampling. And if it is a non-normal distributed population, then you will go with non-probability sampling method. And similarly, because you have gone for probability and non-probability based sampling method, the analysis will also depends upon that. So if it is a normally distributed population, you will go for parametric test. Please remember, if it is a normal probability distributed population based sample, then you will do parametric test. And if it is a non-probability distributed sample, population-based sample, then you will go for non-parametric. There's one more reason of going for parametric and non-parametric is, if your sample size is above 30 or above 30, you will prefer parametric test. And if your sample size is small, especially if it is below 30, then you have to go with non-parametric test. Is it clear? So those who want to take a photograph of this slide, they can go ahead. This is very important. And I think this is the easiest way to understand that on which type of population parametric and on which type of population-based sample non-parametric test is done. All right, I want to.
There are some questions, ma'am.
I have not completed my half presentation, and it is already 5:15. I hope I am not eating away another expert's time.
You can take your time, ma'am. No problem. We have the course curator, Dr. John Mathisala.
Yeah.
Can
I'm
she
here. Dr. Priyanka.
Could she
we
utilize
need
the
your-
full time?
Please take time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We
sir.
need your input. Please take time. Don't worry about time.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So I think you must take photograph of this table also, that what type of statistical analysis we can do for non-parametric sample and for parametric sample.
Excuse me, Dr. Priyanka.
Yes, sir.
I'm so sorry. Actually, can the participants give a 5-minute feedback on whatever has happened till now?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
It will be more interactive for us, and then if there are some doubts, you can directly ask. Unmute
no problem.
And ask.
Yes.
Or you can put it on the chat box. Better, I think, chat box. And Ms. Rajula will be reading it out, or Esther can do that. 5 minutes for the participants to interact. The interaction can go from 5 to 10 minutes also. We would be very happy to receive your interaction and your feedback on this.
There is one question, how to deal with plagiarism. Probably this should be from a faculty, I believe, or could be a guide. How to deal with the plagiarism. Then the next one is, why is the sample size fixed as 30? To differentiate between deciding whether to choose parametric or non-parametric test. This is in the Q&A box, ma'am.
Okay. I got it, ma'am. So about plagiarism, if I get more time, I will talk about plagiarism also, because that is also included in my PPT. I think my PPT is very vast. I have added a lot of things, but the time is less. But if I come to that PPT, I will explain it in detail. About sample, that why it is only 30. It is believed that a normal probability curve, for a normal probability curve, we can start with 30 sample. It can go beyond that also, but it should be representative of the population. So it is somewhere we have to stop and think that if it is beyond this, we can use parametric. So that is the reason decided by the statisticians that if it is 30 or more than 30, then we assume that it will be related to normal probability distribution rather than a small sample, because we have already assumed that the sample collected is from the normal probability curved population. For example, domestic violence victim, we know that all the samples are not suffering with domestic violence. So entire population is not suffering from domestic violence. Only some cluster of people are suffering. And from that cluster also, very few people know that they are having domestic violence issues. Most of us don't know that we are undergoing domestic violence. So because it is not the representation of entire population, so we assume that it is a non-probability curve-based population, and mostly this sample size is below 30. So that is the standard number given by the statistician. In researches like in forensic psychology also, where we try to find out that what is the personality style of a murderer. So every murderer has his own motive, his own modus operandi. So we cannot get 30 individuals that, yes, this many individuals we have to collect to understand the modus operandi of a murderer or their personality style. So that is not possible. So we know that the number of people that we have collected to understand the personality style are so limited that it is going to be a normal probability curve. So in that case, non-parametric test is very useful. What is the difference between research objectives and research questions? It is almost same. The questions the research questions that you have framed it as a research objectives, which get converted into the hypothesis. What is the what is the difference between one tail and two tail test? I think I have to teach the entire research methodology and statistics. When we do the statistical analysis, when we know that the skewness this is the normal probability curve, these are the two tails. So if there is an error or there is less number of sample at any part of the tail, which is insignificant or which is skewed, in that case, we take one tail or two tail depending upon our sample. Is it right to say that where the population is not clearly defined, we can go for non-parametric test with a sample size of 30? Yes, we can go for, but if it is beyond 30, we are assuming that it will be a normal probability curve. What are the essential and baby steps towards research if the person has zero knowledge or beginner at research work? You have already taken the first step to attend this type of faculty development program. If you find that you are not confident enough, even after this 5 days, 7 days faculty development program, you can join more such research methodology and statistics workshops and FDPs. If you are a faculty, join FDPs. If you are a student, you can join workshops. So I think the first baby step you have already taken. Okay, this is the categories using which you can decide that which type of statistical analysis is required. If it is one variable but two categories and between subject analysis, you can go with Mann-Whitney U-test if it is a non-parametric sample, and if it is a parametric sample, then you can go with independent t-test. Then if one variable, two categories within subjects. So within subject to subject. So in that case, Wilcoxon signed rank test, and if it is a parametric, you can go with paired t-test. If it is one variable but more than two categories between subjects, you can go with Kruskal-Wallis, and in parametric, you can go with one-way ANOVA. Research ethics. These are the type of misconducts that we are facing nowadays. It can be related to sexual abuse, it can be related to workplace harassment, it can be related to absenteeism, alcoholism, anything comes under misconduct which is against the ethics. Similarly, in academics also, there are two types of misconduct. One is research, another one is publication. Research misconduct has three major categories: fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. And publication misconduct has, again, plagiarism, misrepresentation of data, biased and selective reporting, authorship abuse, redundant publication, undeclared conflict of idea, reviewer misconduct, and citation manipulation. So first, let us understand the research misconduct. So it includes the violation of standard protocols and codes of research. Up till now, whatever I have discussed is actually the standard protocol and codes of research work. We think that I am the researcher, it is my research work, it is my objective, I can go with my methodology. That is incorrect, and that should not be practiced. Go with the standard protocol of research work, research design, and then decide your research methodology. I am using census method for my study. Is it possible to use missing values? It depends upon your objective. If your objective is that that you are on census method for my study, that means you are using secondary data. Is it correct? Or you are collecting data? If you are collecting data, then will that be called a census method, or it will be called a survey method? What is the objective of your research work? I can answer your question then only. If research paper to be selected in Scopus Index Journal, is there any special statistical tool to be done? How should we go about it? There's nothing like a special statistical tool to be used. The statistical tool is based upon the research methodology, the research design, and ultimately what type of data you are getting. And then you are using statistical test. So it is not a special statistical tool. You can use SPSS. And if you have a good hands-on technical aspect, you understand statistics better, you can also go for MATLAB analysis. Okay, Anusaya, census method, primary data. So why you are calling it as census method? You are going door to door to entire, to all the parts of India to collect your sample? Is this what you are going to follow? If not, then think again whether you are doing census method or you are doing survey method. And your question is whether I can use missing values or not. If missing values are there, missing values meaning the person has not responded to a particular question, then you can put 0. But if most of your sample has not put answers for your questionnaire, then you have to rethink about your research work, that why they have not given answer to your question. So there are two different reasons for that. If only 1 or 2 data is missing, you can put 0 value there and you can use this the questionnaire for analysis. Research misconduct where exclusions are given like ordinary errors. Sometimes errors do happen. We are human beings. There are certain biases. There are certain assumptions. So if there are ordinary errors, we exclude it from research misconduct. If there is genuine differences in data interpretation. So suppose I have done a research work. You have also done a research work. And your data interpretation is different based upon your population drawn sample. And my interpretation is different because my population sample is different. So there can be a genuine difference. But if there is a varied difference, then we both have to come together to find out what is the reason of this difference in data interpretation. Scholarly differences of opinion. It might happen. within the group and across the group, that we have difference of opinion. For example, I say that we all have accepted the corona vaccination, right? But everybody might have difference of opinion that it was not done through proper SOP, so we should not take this vaccination. But then some scholars say that no, all the protocols, the major protocols were followed, so we can take it. It is an Indian made. It is it was tested on Indian population, so it is more valid. So these type of scholarly differences of opinion can happen when we are into a research work, and it cannot be considered as research misconduct. Genuine personal professional opinions are also accepted, and there can be an authorship debate or disagreement. So suppose when we started the research work, there are three experimenters, or what we say, three researchers. Now we started our research work, we agreed to our research design, we agreed to a methodology, we agreed to a procedure, and in the end, we are not getting result as per what we thought. So in that case, author debate or author disagreement might happen. So out of two authors, three authors, one will say that, no, I don't want to be part of this research work. I don't agree with the research conclusion. So this type of disagreement and discussion can happen, and it is not considered as research misconduct. So what is data fabrication or data falsification? You can see the original captures. Left side is the original one. This is the journal. After reviewed, the submitted is this type. Can you see the difference? The left one is the original, and the right one is the fabricated one. The left one, this one is original, and this one is the fabricated one. So you can see that the change of images. So this is how people are putting either image-based data fabrication or even score-wise data fabrication. So that is a misconduct. Data falsification, for example, backdating interviews. So you forgot to take interviews. Like one of the students said that missing data. So you thought that the data is missing. I should go back to my sample and collect the entire, complete the data. That is backdating interview. That is data falsification. You cannot go for such type of backdated interviews. Or you have not collected interview, but during your RPC, research progress, one of the expert asked you that, have you taken interviews? And then it clicked you that, oh, I should take interview also. So you will start fabricating your interview schedules by either filling the data on by yourself, or you are going back to a sample and then collecting data. So it's a kind of data falsification. False recruitment of participant. You wanted to conduct data on a particular type of sample, for example, domestic violence, but because these victims were not available, or you could not, because of thousands of reasons, you could not get such sample. So what you did, you collected data from all the female participants of your colony. So that is a false recruitment. Changing the observation. So person has given 5 response, and everyone is giving 5, 5, 5 response, which is a good response. But you thought that, oh, for this question, the person will give me below average response. So it is against your assumption. So you will start removing 5, and you will putting circle on 2, 1, 2, 3. So that is also a changing of observation, which is not acceptable. Plagiarism. We all have to be very cautious what we are writing, how we are writing, and how we are submitting our research paper. Plagiarism is not only copying from another person's article. If you are copying content from your own article, that is also called plagiarism, which is considered as self-plagiarism. For example, copy-pasting Wikipedia material. First of all, Wikipedia material is not 100% authentic, valid. If you want to understand meaning of certain words, meaning of certain themes, title, look for more articles. Wikipedia, you can take it as basic understanding of a concept, but not a full-fledged 100% valid fact. You have to look for more data. Let us look at this example. If you cut and paste it from the web, he will say you plagiarized. And the answer is, I didn't cut and paste it. I printed it and then retyped it in. Is that a plagiarism? I mean, I typed it. So you can also say that I have not cut pasted the content. I have retyped it. So will that be considered as plagiarism? Yes. So if you are copy pasting any content as it is without paraphrasing it, without changing the meaning of the content, then only it will be called as non-plagiarized content. I think you should come to plagiarism part. Let's not discuss about sampling methods. Otherwise I will keep on talking about sampling methods, and I will not be able to complete what I'm supposed to talk on the research ethics. So these are the causes of plagiarism. First is lack of awareness. Most of us doesn't know what is plagiarism, what are the points that are considered under plagiarism. Uninformed. We are most of the time uninformed. We get articles, we get books, we just copy paste. We just rewrite everything. So we are uninformed that many other materials are available. And there is one more myth with which we live, is that we have all the knowledge about everything. So if I am working on domestic violence victim, I have complete information about domestic violence. I don't need to read any book, any other article. So that is the overconfidence and what we say, we feel that we know everything. So that is the limitation of a researcher. If the person thinks that I know everything and I don't need to read anything else, and whatever I am saying, that is correct. Lack of confidence. Sometimes we lack confidence and we think that, okay, introduction and ROL, I don't know how to write it because my English is not good, or I am more like a regional person, so I don't know how to write it in English. So because of that lack of confidence, we don't practice writing skills and we get into plagiarism type of activity. Lack of awareness. We are only aware about APA style, but there are other styles also. So you start reading about journals, the type of citation they are using, and start practicing it. Types of plagiarism, the photocopy, you already know, copy pasting. The potluck paper. So you have got 10 papers. So from that 10 papers, just select 2 or 3 papers, twist few sentences, and then retain the almost every original sentence, and then you present it for publication. Poor disguise. Researcher modifies the paper by changing few phrases and keywords. So just copy paste it from an article, right click, synonyms, change the word, done. So that is poor disguise, but it is considered as plagiarism. The labor of laziness. Who will read articles? Who will save it? How to save it? I read a lot, I search a lot, but then somehow my articles, I'm not able to relocate it. I'm not able to find it. So what you do? Researcher puts in all the effort to paraphrase most of the content and make it suitable rather than directing the same effort towards original work. So what original, you have done an original work, but you don't feel like putting it on paper in your own words, and you just keep on paraphrasing. So your original work gets plagiarized by yourself and it becomes an unethical research paper. The self-stealer, borrowing content from your own article. For example, I am publishing 10 papers. So I am taking some content from first article, second article, third article, and then making it as 11th paper for publication. So that is self-stealing. The forgotten footnotes. So researcher specifies an author's name for a source. However, this regards the location of the reference material. The source location is unknown. So in the photograph, source is written, but in reference section, it is not there. The information is not present. Any question? Ma'am, is paraphrasing allowed up to an extent it is allowed. There is no issue. But that doesn't mean your entire paper is paraphrased. The misinformer, researcher gives inaccurate information related to the sources, leaving it impossible to locate or find them. So you have taken content, but you have not given information about the person who has published the content. The two perfect paraphrases. Just now you have asked that paraphrasing is part of plagiarism or not. So you are paraphrasing each and every sentence, each and every word. That is also plagiarism. Paraphrasing of certain sentences, certain words, some patches of the content article is fine. But every sentence that you have copied from other article and you are paraphrasing it, then it is not acceptable. The perfect rhyme, researcher quotes and cites sources in most places, but paraphrases other content without citation. So again, if you are paraphrasing with this intention, it is a plagiarism. The resourceful citer, researcher quotes and cites sources in most places, but paraphrases other content without citation. So citation up to a limit and then no citation. So that is considered as resourceful citer. Where we can skip plagiarism, if it is generic term. So for example, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, you cannot rephrase it, you cannot change it. Standard equation formulas, mathematical equations, Newton's law. So these formulas, equations are standard, universal. You cannot change it. So that is acceptable. Table of content. So when you prepare table, the contents will have a plagiarized score. So we skip that. Preface and acknowledgement, that are all being skipped. References, bibliography, again, we cannot change the references because the citation is given by the author, by the journal. So that cannot be changed. It cannot be paraphrased. Every content quoted along with required consent and credit. So if you want to put, you are so in love with the words, with the phrase given by the author. So you take the consent of the author to put it in the same way, in the same original content. With the consent, you can do that, and you have to give the credit to the author also. So in such cases, it is ignored. Now, how much plagiarism is acceptable? Up to 10% with minor similarities, there is no penalty. But if the plagiarism is above 10% to 40%, then the penalty increases. Mostly the plagiarism is above 40%, then the journal usually reject between 10 to 40%. They ask you to cut down the plagiarism part and resubmit it. And if it is a minor similarity, they usually accept it, then there is no issue. I told you that there are different consequences of plagiarism and research misconduct. So you can go through this article. The person did a lot of plagiarism and then later on his license was taken back. So there are many examples where people were into plagiarism and their license were taken back, their articles were removed from the journal, were removed from the internet also. And somewhere they were Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Screen is not visible.
Now? Is the screen visible?
No, ma'am.
Now is it visible?
Not
No,
here.
ma'am.
Oh. So it is saying
Um,
that I should now wind up my lecture.
Who's telling?
The technology is saying that I should wind up my
Okay.
lecture.
Ma'am, close it to open the PPT again and then you
Yeah,
can
I
type.
closed it, but then I think I have to either log out and log in, or there's some other issue.
Or quickly you can send it to me and then I'll share it, or Esther will share. Even your video is also blurred.
Mhm.
Ma'am, please log out and come.
I think logging out and then logging in again would help.
Dr. John, if you're there, you can actually engage the audience till she gets in. She's come back. We can see the screen, ma'am.
Oh.
Yes, it is full screen.
I was coming to the type of plagiarism softwares that are available. So you can check your article or any of these softwares. The most prominent one, which is being used by almost all the faculties, is the Turnitin. Urkund is also used, but then the limitation of Urkund is that once you upload your article, then it will give you the plagiarism report. But when after editing your article, you upload it again, so it will analyze your earlier uploaded data as part of plagiarism report. So you will get more plagiarism score as compared to the first submission. But in Turnitin, that is not the case. And if you want, you can buy it for your organization also, and then the credentials are given to faculties, and faculties can ask students to upload their article and check. So, and other plagiarism softwares are also available online, offline, with license, without license. This is how you will see the plagiarism report, and on the right side, you will get to know the how much percentage of similarity and plagiarism is there, and which is the paper from which the article or the content is being taken. So you can uh, re-edit your article according to the score given, and again you can go for the plagiarism check to reduce it. These are the free plagiarism check links which you can use to check your plagiarism report. Just have a quick click of these links and later on you can open it. Authorship is one of the misconduct that is very common nowadays is who can be the author and who will be the first author. So there's always a fight that if there are three researchers, I will be the first author because I'm the faculty, irrespective of what is the amount of effort put up by me as a faculty. Or if there are three faculties, the senior most faculty will get the first authorship. So that is what is happening in most of the universities. Let's come out of that first authorship and last authorship. It doesn't matter who is the first author, who is the last author. The score is given equally to all the authors. The content of the write-up is more important. And when you are claiming authorship, you are also claiming equal responsibility of the content of the paper that you are going to publish. So just because you are the first author and the third author will take all the responsibility of the content, that is again a misconduct shown by people who are putting their name. So there are different types of authorship also. Honorary authorship, it is out of respect. There is no contribution of the researcher or the author, but out of respect, we put name of the person. Like if my PhD student is publishing her paper and she thought that because I am her guide, so she should put my name also. So as first or the second or the third author, she is putting my name as out of respect. So that is a misconduct, and we should stop ourselves in putting our name as honorary authorship. Guest authorship, included with the specific objective, increase the probability of getting accepted by a journal. So in forensic psychology, if anybody is writing an article on forensic psychology and they know that I am working in the field of forensic psychology because I'm associate professor, because I'm at NFSU. So if I put her name, then probability of my article getting selected will increase. So in that case, you are putting me as guest author. I have no idea about your research work. I have no idea what is the result, and I have no responsibility of the content which is being presented in the article. So that is guest authorship. So we should reframe ourselves from that type of authorship also. Ghost authorship. Out of three researchers, one researcher has put all the efforts, but in the end, that person's name is not being mentioned in the article, and other two researchers' name is being mentioned. So that is also a misconduct, and we should avoid that type of ghost authorship also. I want to discuss this part little bit because these are the things which you can get on internet also about IPR, patents, how to get patent. I want to emphasize on the last point that how we as a faculty, we as a student, and we as a administrator in an institution can deal with research ethics. So these are my suggestions which can be used as measures to improve research ethics and to improve research publications, in a way, research methodology and research field. First of all, let us make a research and ethics scrutiny committee. I know in almost all the universities there is research ethics committee, but a separate committee which is only focusing upon research and ethics scrutiny. So whatever publication a faculty or a student is forwarding to a journal, that need to be scrutinized by this committee. Now, who can be included as the committee members? These are not faculties, these are not students, these are not subject experts in a particular area. These are the people who know in and out about research, who understand ethics, and who can scrutinize the entire paper in a very unbiased manner. So they can be higher authority from the university, from the organization, but not related to a particular school, particular area, because then their biasness do play a crucial role, and the publication rate or the scrutiny might get a biased result. So in that case, we have to sit together and find out who can be the committee members and what will be the roles and responsibilities of these committee members. We know that a lot of publications are going into bogus journals, predatory journals. So how to stop this? We need to understand, because all the researchers doesn't know that these are the predatory journal. student doesn't know that by paying 3,000 rupees, we are publishing our paper in a predatory journal. We know how to diagnose predatory journals. So that part should be a responsibility of RESC to look after that these are the predatory journals, and we should not recommend the paper to be published in this journal. So that type of awareness can also be spread by these committee members. And not only PhD dissertation work should get scrutinized, but also field work and any type of publication should be scrutinized by these committee members. The committee members will also identify the journals related to the subjects offered by the organization. So if in your organization, 10 research areas are being offered to students and faculties, so all the 10 research area-based journals need to be identified by these committee members, which are UGC accepted, Scoopers, WOS, or any other referred journal which is of a repute. So it should be our responsibility to find out the journals in which, subject-wise, in which our faculties and students can publish their paper. All of us are not pro in internet and digital world. So we cannot expect every researcher to find out that these are the predatory journals. So why you cannot do your own research work? Why you cannot do your own experiment? We are just into criticizing others that they are going for rat run and they are publishing their papers. So it should be a collective responsibility of the committee member to find out, identify the journal covering all the fields, review the guidelines of these journals selected, motivate students to write the articles. Once the article is submitted, then scrutiny of the paper should be done by these committee members. And the committee members' intention should be to help and support the authors for quality publication and not to insult, defame, degrade, or reject their work in any manner. So that with that understanding, the committee members should work. The committee should also share the information about call for papers among students and faculty. Prepare a time frame that by this month, this date, the papers should be submitted so that the committee has enough time to scrutinize the paper, give it back to the faculty and students for to edit their paper and then for final submission. Motivate students and staff for quality papers and not promoting blind publication for university scores. So the pressure is actually both the ways. Faculty is also under pressure because they want promotion, they want scores, they want increments, so they are going for more publications. And university is also putting pressure because they want to be on higher ranking university list. So they are also putting pressure on faculties to get your publication done. So maintain that competition, but then with that, have an attitude which have a motivation to students and staff for quality papers and not only blindly publishing the papers. So this cannot happen without administration and faculty's help. So we have to work in collaboration to resolve these research-related issues. Setting the time frame is, again, time management. When is the call for paper submission to REC committee for review? Review guidelines as per journal requirements. So you go through the journal requirements, spread awareness in students that these are the requirements. Feedback, time frame. Feedback should be given back within a time frame so that the person can have enough time to edit their paper and submit it for final submission. And lastly, awareness and skill development workshops. So these type of workshops, FDPs, are need to be conducted more. And to promote research ethics, I think I have not covered all the points of research ethics. Get feedback from authors. Like, I am publishing paper, but then what I am thinking about my paper, am I satisfied? So these type of feedbacks are also required from authors. Spread awareness about new ideas. Everyone cannot think about new idea. Everyone cannot be a researcher. Just because a person is a faculty, he can do research work. That is not the case. Everyone cannot have all the skills. A teacher can teach better, but cannot do a research better. A researcher can do a research work better, but he cannot teach. So everyone cannot be a perfect person, perfect teacher. So we have to share, exchange ideas. We have to develop skills to make a good teacher helpful for research work. I would suggest that provide award, prizes, and recognitions for developing research ethics by following guidelines, and opt and approach to appreciate and promote faculties rather than pulling their legs that you are not into research work and you cannot do your work properly. And lastly, I would conclude with this, which was being asked by one of the participants earlier, that research is what we do, which already exists. So this is the answer. Research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. So that is the research work. For any feedback, comment, and queries, you can write to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Priyanka Kakar. It was a brilliant presentation. I think many of the points that you have shared today, they were kind of the participants were struggling with and then did not know to whom they should go to get the answer. So through their presentation, they have got, and then through the question also, many of their answers, I think they have received, and still, I think questions are coming up. And then if you would like to answer probably the most important question, because you've been talking to us, so I understand. So if you think that you are able to answer either one or two from the Q&A box, there have been also requests asking us to give you more time to speak, but it has been 2 years since you started talking. So 2 hours alone you are talking.
Talking is not an issue. It's just that the listeners should enjoy what I'm talking.
Yeah, they have been
So-
enjoying. Yeah, then maybe so one or two very important questions from the Q&A box, if you are able to. Please.
I'm taking that question. Dr. Meenhal has asked, please tell us about some grammatical and other tools we can use to polish or check our research paper. So Grammarly you can install. It is also available online for few paragraphs. It is free of cost available. So you can use that, and you can ask your organization to buy a licensed version of Grammarly, which can be used by all the faculty members who have organization email ID. So that is another way of using Grammarly. So that is the best, I think, up till now, that is the best software to check grammar. And it has various options also to check your grammar facilities. Research is a work done with passion, and I personally think it is a skill. Has making research publication a mandatory requirement among faculty members of HEIs paved the way for large-scale unethical research practices? It is a debatable matter, actually, Chitra. If you are a faculty, you have an understanding, in-depth understanding about the field that you are working in. So you are the best person to do research work. You are the best person to motivate your student to go into research work. And you are the best person who has lot of time to utilize while teaching, learning with teaching, and then putting it in terms of research work. So that is what we say, one of the skills which is being developed by the teacher himself. So that skill need to be shared with all the people who are looking up to us. So that is required. But making it mandatory requirement is a debatable issue, because yes, you said very rightly that everybody cannot become a researcher. It's a skill. So if you develop that skill, you can become a researcher. If it becomes mandatory, you will put all your effort to become a researcher. So it's how you take it. If you take it as a burden, then everything is a burden. Your job is also a burden. And if you take it positively in a motivating manner, it will make a difference, and you will feel good when you do a research work. And in research work is very interesting area. If you have done one research work with whole heart, you will definitely go for another research work, then third research work, and then it's the kind of addiction.
Thank you, ma'am. And I would like to bring in the course curator for his remarks, Dr. John Mathusala.
Thank you, Dr. Priyanka. It's been a very, very enriching experience, listening to you. And then I'm 100%, not 100%, 200% sure all these faculty must have really, really enjoyed your session and must have felt fortunate that this session has happened. You were very lucid in your presentation, and people could interact with you. I mean, they could ask good questions, and the pace at which you were talking, I mean, everybody could understand that your pace was so good and you were very loud. 2 hours of loud speaking. I don't know how you got seasoned to that. Actually, that is very great.
One of the skills of a teacher, sir.
Yeah, sure. That I understand, but that is great. You had a lot of energy. I mean, the energy with which you started, you have actually closed with the same kind of energy. Maybe if we ask for one more hour, even you would be ready to do that. And that comes, I think, from your complete passion for research.
You also gave me points, sir, that you want me to discuss about these points. So I remade my presentation today morning. It was already done.
Thank you. That's great, and it's very complimentary. And then there are two things I would like to actually add to your presentation.
Yes, sir.
As a concluding mark. There are two things about research. One is the will, and the other is the skill. If you have the will, then we can teach the skill. Like we can request Dr. Priyanka to come again and again and give us the skills. But if you don't have the will, then Dr. Priyanka may not be able to help us, or anybody cannot help us with that kind of an energy that they have. Do we have the attitude? She has the energy, but do we have the attitude to actually take it in? You are coming up with a lot of questions. Definitely, we are all eager. We are greedy. But eagerness and greediness, is it culminating in pressure? Is it a fallout of pressure, or is it a fallout of passion? If it is a fallout of passion, then definitely we all will become wonderful researchers. It's just a matter of time, matter of one or two papers, presenting one or two papers. What I suggest the faculty is, please read the published papers, read the published thesis work. Then you will understand what's there and how to write. You need to actually observe very clearly, I mean, very meticulously observe how this research is written, how it is made, and you can come out with your questions, review it, and that is how you understand. So seeing is believing. So when you see that, when you go through that, you believe it. And then we have somebody like Dr. Priyanka to come and help us, and I'm so grateful to you, Dr. Priyanka. I don't know what kind of work you had, and particularly on a weekend, a woman like you must be very, very busy with your family. But still, you have taken the call and have helped us and go Globethics with this wonderful session. And if you don't mind, we would be calling you again and again.
Sure, sir, anytime. I cannot say no to Rajula ma'am and now to you also, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. My
Everybody
pleasure.
has
My
enjoyed.
pleasure.
Sure. Thank you, Rajula. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, all
Thank
the
you.
people who have joined from India and abroad. Madam, there are people from 20 different countries attending this
22.
program.
Yes, sir.
22
Yes, sir.
countries.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
In introduction, Rajula ma'am said that. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can see that the type
Yeah.
of audience I had today. So
Yes.
it was my pleasure giving a talk on this topic to all of them. I'm really happy and blessed that I got this opportunity to talk. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much. ma'am.
In
Thank
fact,
you.
I had asked the participants to introduce themselves. They started doing, but all of a sudden they started complimenting, because I think it was really enriching, and then they got what they wanted. And even now, I think it hasn't stopped. So many messages appreciating your presentation, and I learned a lot. I'm also doing research now, so for me also, lot of new insights. Probably I'll also come to you again, and I thank you specially. As John Methuselah told, you must be busy and very responsible position. still 2 full hours with us, and then so many hours you would have spent to preparing the PPT. It's not easy. It shows your commitment and dedication that mainly you have with regard to ethics in higher education. It was wonderful having you and quite a lot of learning experience with you. And we will come back again to you. And this is the platform. It is always ready to welcome you again and again whenever we have a program where we could use as a speaker. So thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful time with us.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, John, sir. Thank you, Esther,
Thank you.
for
Thank you so much.
organizing this session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. And all
I
the
also-
participants, we will be having more such, seminar webinars in the days to come. Please network with us. Please stay in touch. All the best. Have a
Yeah.
great weekend. We will meet on Monday.
Thank you, Dr. John, for being with us, for sharing your comments as well. And thank you, Esther, for operating the Zoom. And I especially thank all the participants from India and also abroad. And I'm sure all the teaching faculty in India, they have multitask. But yet, even now the number is 235. So each day more than 400 people are attending. So thank you for sparing your precious time and being with us mainly to listen to the speaker. You can write your comments, and each day we're sharing the feedback with you. And tomorrow Sunday, so don't try to log in and then don't drop message that we have not started. Sunday is a holiday, so tomorrow is a holiday. We don't have any meeting, and we will again meet you on Monday at 4 p.m. And till then, bye. See you soon. Thank you, ma'am.
Signing off, Rajula.
Thank you, Mathusala, and thank you, Esther.